All right. All right, Pete has given me a thumbs up, which I will interpret as shut the fuck up and get off stage. Everybody, give it up for the Bitter Pill Collective.
Going to be 3 poems to the same guitar lick. First one's called Current in Vain. The crown of metal with wires attached fell tight on her head, which was throbbing from anxiety and fear. In this cold, drab room, sitting on a hard old metal chair. She tried to think of something soothing to distract herself from what was coming next. But when the switch is turned on, there is nothing left to do but cry out in agony. She had been through this before, the memory of which would be etched in her brain and follow around like a ghost who wasn't an empathetic friend. No, her life was on a different path now. It's either accept what's happening or take a nosedive into insanity. This is how they are treating her for being different from the rest. A young woman should be courteous and silent and always at her best. From this moment on, she would be someone else. Familiar looking, but with no spirit left to share. Words kept inside, accompanied with a blank stare. Poem number 2, Hard Times. City Hall was boarded up. The general store was on fumes. The blues came to town and stayed for good. The railroad still chugged along on grass-filled tracks, cutting through the stillness of the sleepy town, where everyone was hiding from the heat, while Earl played his harmonica and Slim picked his guitar. And for that moment, they were both free, singing songs about life and how hard it is to get by from the debt as life piles on, and pickups with empty beds, parked on a gravel driveway as dreamers slowly drive by. And the moral of the story, you can't be sung by just anyone. It takes the soul of someone who has made it through hard times. Poem number 3. This one's called The Long Goodbye. It's about someone on death row. Cake, I asked for cake, yellow with chocolate icing, a birthday cake. Without the candles or the singing. It's not my birthday, it's my last meal. Not steak or fried chicken, just cake. And when the last crumbs are gathered and the sweet taste of chocolate goes down, I'll be injected and snuffed out. The last bite of my first and only birthday cake, washing down a long life of brutal crimes. And I'm not asking for forgiveness or empathy, it's just how it all turned out. No one will shed a tear, no witness on my side. There will be no sign of the cross, nor a long goodbye, not even for myself. Thank you. Mr. Frederick Enziano, the music director of The Bitter Pill and the co-producer of this event. Okay, the next one's called New York City, My Home. I know I was there, the long passage of time makes it feel as though I wasn't. New York City in all its grimy and dirty and stinking self. Stepping over empty crack vials and used condoms as rats scurry by, and looking into alleyways and abandoned storefronts for a potential threat of your life. We were young and we just shrugged it off as part of the zeitgeist. The city holding promise of art and music, social experience, it helped us look past the blight. But now the city, it just seems sterile, a mostly unaffordable, rich man's paradise. I fellows of a time when equality seemed attainable. We wrote verses filled with images like graffiti on a subway car, drinking in dive bars until 4, when a cave-like graphic on a black subway wall can make you feel like a pop star in a pop shop filled with your art. Keith Haring. I'm not a young man anymore. I don't find adventure the thrill of the unknown. I like my meals home cooked and plentiful, but I still dig the gritty chords of a song birthed in scorn, or the splatter of paint made from a frenetic arch of design. I cherish the memories of the late night conditions and ink creams and days before heading home from a night filled with youthful aplomb, when the waves of energy seemed endless. It was our time to grow up and become someone, hoping that somehow we would do more than just survive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I need a sip of water. This one's called New Self. It's about a woman who was in search of herself and the Messiah. She headed west in her old beat-up Honda with all her earthly possessions, including her King James Bible stuffed in a plastic garbage bag on the floor of the back seat of her dirty car. Her goal was the vastness of the desert where the horizon stretches for miles, and the sunset brings a glow of coolness and beauty that makes you feel whole. The search of God. She wanted to count the stars and outline galaxies, hoping she would meet the Messiah, because he was more than a vision in her dreams. She knew he was out there and alive. And with the sands beneath her knees and the cactus giving her stature, her love would be professed from this place to eternity, giving new meaning to the mess that is a life. Why don't you play around a little bit, Evan? She arrived days later to a red then purple sky that would soon turn black, and she pitched her tent in the sand and lit a fire as stars started popping and dancing in her eyes. She said his name softly and repeated it like a mantra until sleep took over. She drifted above for hours. But as she awoke and the sun started her making her body feel hot, the Messiah wasn't with her yet, but she knew it was just a matter of time. And she prepared herself for a journey that no map will help you find. The quiet was eerie and deafening at the same time. And her hunger reminded her she'd have to be crafty to survive. A lifetime of waiting for his presence would soon come to fruition amongst the lizards at her feet and the buzzards hovering above. And she made the sign of the cross. Her new self was only hers, and there was no one else around for miles. I used to spend all my time trying to be somebody I'm not, but now I'm trying not to be somebody I am. I ride the trains with no money in my pocket. I sing my heart out for $1. Sam Cooke's You Send Me, a crowd favorite. I steal an apple and a banana off the vegetable stand when I can. And when I'm really hungry, I go to Chelsea. They've got good meals at Holy Apostles for lunch, and they even let you take a plate to go. And sometimes they have free clothes and toiletries that you can bring home with you. And when I'm flush, I stop by Patty's for a happy hour, shop the brew, because nothing tops the all-you-can-eat corned beef and cabbage and boiled potatoes. They've been serving it for years. Make it sound good, fellas. I love the city when the sun goes down. It gets way less crowded and the hustle and the bustle slows down. And I feel like I can finally be myself, and I don't feel so self-conscious. And my fellow crazies and outcasts and outsiders and misfits come out. I can't say this was my dream. When I moved here from Oklahoma, I was 21 and I was full of big dreams. And you know, I had a good moment or two, but the grind just beat me down, and so did getting old. But I still like it here. I still like it here. I still like it here, even if it means sleeping on the streets and being a statistic. The only way I count. I think this is you, Josh. Comedian, sound man, and now drummer. Give him a big hand. She stood erect with her chest puffed forward like a warrior preparing for the kill, and let out a guttural stream that emanated from diaphragm and vibrated in her throat like a ping pong ball in an air-filled tube. It was a violent release of anger and pain stored deep in her soul at the behest of a lifetime of abuse, and it shook the foundation to the core that left the audience both stunned and exhilarated at the same time. The drummer pounded out a loud thumping beat. That's it, man. It was a cue for the band to come in with their mournful tune in a minor key. They knew they were part of a moment and a witness too. It was a late night religious experience, cathartic for those wishing to have something to believe in. And as the sweat poured down from her brow, she coaxed out every last drop of emotion that she had left to give. And for that night, under the glare of the colored stage lights, amongst the din of the amplified grid, she was free. Take it away, Evan. backstage in a worn-out sofa chair. With a cold beer in her hand, she knew that briefly she had commanded her demons as they danced relentlessly in her head. And they were kept at bay until the quiet of the next day, when they would begin to stir yet again. And while driving to the next town in the harsh light of the morning sun, she slumped in the back of the van, looking out windows of trees and light posts pushing by on a lonely stretch of another American highway. And she repeated the mantra in her head, I am free, I am free, I am free. And I will summon the courage to stand on another stage in another town in front of another faceless crowd who will never know how truly lonely I am. Thank you. Okay, Fred would like you to know that dancing is allowed on this one. She had quiet beauty. I strummed a loud guitar and I nearly lost my mind when she sat in the bar. The chords were wrong, I was distracted. I messed up the song, but the band played on. My head swirled with thoughts of her and visions of the dance and the start of a new romance. Okay, let's have one for the band. The set felt too long. It was one tune too many. Would she get up and leave and take with her any chance we could meet so I could sing her song, a love poem to the woman with the soulful brown eyes? The final chords died out and she was gone, and I went searching in the dark of the night, but the streets, they were empty and she was just nowhere in sight. My heart sunk 10 feet under. I like the way that sounds. I'm going to give it a little space. Fredo Genziano, Josh Hilsinger, Evan Hilsinger, all the great performers that gave their time and effort. James, Will, Megan, not Megan, Amy, Stephanie, Steven, Jennifer. Did I leave anybody out? I hope not. If I do, I'll pay you back later. My heart sunk 10 feet under. I guess it just wasn't my night, but it is yours. Thank you, folks. If you would, if you wouldn't mind taking your empties with you when you leave, that would be great.